Hello everybody, it's Dio from Firm But Fair Gaming bringing you another video. Enjoying all the videos and content we produce, don't forget to click on that subscribe button, click on that like button, and don't be afraid to share. Don't forget to click on the notification button, customize it however you want, but that way you're notified whenever we publish another video. Welcome everyone. Today we are looking at the Inner Monk here in Season 26 for Diablo 3. So the Inner Monk is back in as a DPS for group, both for solo pushing. It is one of the best ones right now, as well as it is used in the group meta play. So for those that aren't familiar, the build got a little bit of a nerf. By that I mean more than a little from last season. The Fire Ally is no longer the OP build that it used to be, but the Inner Monk is still a very strong build. So without further ado, let's get into it and take a look at the build in more detail. So what is the Inner set? If you're unfamiliar, the bonuses are as follows. Two pieces, it increases the passive effect of your Mystic Ally and the base passive effect of your mantras by 100%. Four piece, we gain the base effect of all four mantras at all times. So as you can see down here, I have all four. And also we get 5% damage reduction for each Mystic Ally we have out. And our Mystic Allies no longer take damage, so they're immortal. And then lastly, our six pieces gain the passive abilities of the 5 rune Mystic Allies at all times. Attacking enemies, create your chosen Mystic Ally that lasts 15 seconds, up to 10 Mystic Allies. And then the damage of your Mystic Allies is increased by 3,000% for each Mystic Ally you have out. So that's where the big damage increase comes from, is from that 6 piece. Without further ado, let's take a look at the items. So I'm going to start with the most basic one and then work my way up for pushing as you get more materials to craft things or good luck in finding them with RNG, your build will evolve. So the very basic one we're going to get is, oh, by the way, the Inner set for Monk is the set that we get from the seasonal journey. So if you haven't yet done that, you can do that and get the full 6 pieces for the Inner set. So the basic set that we get is all 7 pieces to the Innas. So of course, Innas has 7 set pieces instead of other sets that only have 6. But again, we only need the 6 in order to get all the benefit. So the items that we need, if you're going with the basic one, is all 6 pieces. So there are 7, so you could easily swap out the boots if you have good luck and put on the crudest boots. Otherwise, if you don't, you could just wear all 7 to start with. Complementary pieces that we're looking for is the Lefebvre's Soliloquy. I probably butchered that, just forgive me. And then the bracers that we need is Bindings of the Lesser Gods. So the reason we want this is for the shoulders, the Cyclone Strike reduces the damage we take. And then for the bracers, it increases the damage after we Cyclone, increases the damage enemies take from our Mystic Allies, which is our most powerful ability. So to complement the original set pieces that we also have is rings. So there's a little bit, or for our jewelry, we have some options. So you can do the focus bastions of will. So that's the focus and restraint rings. Alternatively, you can do the endless walk with just Traveler's Pledge and the Compass Rose. Then have a convention of elements as the other ring. And if you are using restraint and focus, you can throw on a squirts, and that will complete the set. In the cube, depending on your luck at the beginning, we can either have, so we want the flying dragon. How about I run over to the cube so you can see what the item looks like. So we can get the flying dragon, so this chance to double our attack speed. Rocking the spirit guards, so this our spirit generators reduce the damage we take. And then for the ring, we want to aim to try to get the Ring of Royal Grandeur. Of course, if we have that, then we don't need to wear all pieces there. So kind of wearing all pieces until we get that. And as a secondary, I can't really think of a good secondary to use as a ring if you don't have that, because that's the one we're trying to get to. So maybe if you want, you can put in a unity to just give yourself some survivability. And then if you're pushing solo, your follower can wear that. Otherwise, you kind of just want to, that's what we want to get. We absolutely need this in order to progress on the build. Some of the other builds where we then step up a level is we then get into where we have the Ring of Royal Grandeur. We can equip the crudest boots, so then we can aim to have the spirit generators in the cube. Or, you know, if this, sorry, not the spirit generators. Why did I say that? The spirit guards, because it was your spirit generators that reduce the damage taken. So the spirit guards. So also we can alternate between whatever we have better of. We can have as our bracers. So because I have a big one for or an ancient one for the Binds Lesser Gods, I'm using that, and then have the spirit guards in the cube. So this is like the next level up. And then when we have the Ring of Royal Grandeur, we don't need to have all 6 pieces. So here we still have 6. So then we can get into where we are using Shenlong Spirit. So we want to get both Shenlong's Relentless Assault and the Shenlong's Fist of Levens to get that 2-piece as our weapon. So for this, basically, the damage of our spirit generators is increased by 2% for each point of spirit that we have. And when we reach max spirit, all damage is increased by 350%. But we no longer generate spirit. It kind of depletes down here. As you can see, my spirit is depleting. But then we have that big damage buff, which is going to stack on top of when we actually use our Mystic Ally ability to deal massive amounts of damage. So that's kind of like the next tier up that we're aiming for. After that, as we're dealing more and more damage, we can move into where we want to use the All Guilds Authority. So this, of course, it reduces our damage taken, but it increases the damage we deal. Because we're wearing also the Ring of Royal Grandeur, we only need 2 pieces. So this would replace both our bracer and our shoulders, and then we would deal tons of damage because the 3-piece here is reduces damage from elites and increases our damage to elites. So then we kind of become like elite hunters, and we would be able to nuke those down pretty quickly. That does, we do lose the damage reduction from losing Cyclone Strike, so we kind of need to be already kind of tanky when we get to this point, and in order to survive in the higher rifts. And by that point, we'll have lots of stats. By the time you're pushing like 120s to 130s, you're going to be close to 1k Paragon. So you'll have the stats in order to survive up there and deal the damage in order to blow them all up. For our legendary gems, it is the same as last season. So actually, I'm missing one. I just realized because I had the Bane of the Powerful in there. So we are going to be using Bane of the Stricken for killing Rift Guardians. We use Bane of the Powerful if we are on farm mode and just blowing everything up. And then we absolutely need Enforcer to increase the damage of our Mystic allies. And then, of course, we need the Bane of the Trap. So just to refresh what each of them does, Bane of the Stricken is each attack against an enemy increases it by our damage against them by a fixed amount, but it stacks. So every time we attack them, it keeps building. So if it dealt 1%, then it deals 2, 4, and so on and so forth. And so it's a stacking damage that we need for the Rift Guardians when we start pushing so that they blow up and die. Also, when we get to rank 25, it increases our damage against bosses and Rift Guardians by 25%. The Enforcer, it increases the damage of our pets by a certain percent, and our pets take 90% less damage. Less important because our Mystic allies are immortal. And then Bane of the Trapped it increases the damage against enemies under the effects of control and parrying effects by a certain percentage. And then it's got a built-in at rank 25. It gains the aura that reduces enemies' movement speed within 15 yards. So then that movement speed reduction is causing us to actually get the benefit of Bane of the Trap. And then Bane of the Powerful for farm mode is we gain 20% increased damage for an extended period of time after we kill an elite pack. So after you kill your first elite pack, you get that 20% damage buff. And we also get 15% increased damage versus elites and take 15% less damage against elites at rank 25. So this is why it's farm mode. It just gives us that extra buff, and it lasts while you just keep chaining it together when you're on farm mode because you're just blowing elites up one after another. And so those are the legendary gems that we need in this build. Moving on, taking a look at the skills. So there are a couple variations here, but the basic abilities that we want to use is we want to use Way of the 100 Fists, Cyclone Strike, Mystic Ally, Dashing Strike, Serenity, and Epiphany. So for Way of the 100 Fists, we either can use Blazing Fist. So this is going to give us critical hits is going to give us attack speed and movement speed, or you can use Assimilation, which each enemy hit and with the third hit increases your damage by 5% for 5 seconds. Those are 2 options. Cyclone Strike, we want Implosion because it increases the damage that things are being pulled towards us. Helps us stack. There are two different builds that you can use for Mystic Ally. You can use the Earth Ally, which basically turns them into boulders that kind of chase everything all over the screen. It can be kind of clunky at times as they run all over the place, but you can also use the Water Ally. So they do 7 wave attacks in quick succession, and it deals massive amounts of damage, and they kind of flow out from you as you move through the map. So just for an example, let's just see here. I'll use my Earth Ally. So then they kind of follow you around, see those boulders, and that's kind of what they are. And then, so they do actually pretty good amounts of damage, but sometimes it can be kind of clunky where they just chase after things and not mixed results at times. So they're a little less predictable. So Water Ally is a little bit more reassuring, or more planning, or consistent, I should say. Was searching for the right words there, but both are viable. Water Ally at the moment is pushing slightly ahead, but I wanted to mention that both are viable in the build. For Dashing Strike, you can use Blinding Speed. So after you dash, you get 40% dodge for 4 seconds. So that's a survivability. If you're on farm mode, you can jump up to just give yourself the 3 charges, and as that works as well. And I've also seen where there is the Radiance, where you get 15% increased attack speed as well. Personally, as I'm pushing, I prefer the dodge just to help make us a little bit more tanky as we go. Of course, a trusted favorite is Serenity with Ascension. So this basically puts a bubble around us where we are invulnerable for 4 seconds. So we want to use that for survivability. And then Epiphany with Desert Shroud, it gives us damage reduction. So we take 50% less damage, and it also lets us jump to our target that we're attacking. There is a different variation that I have seen with the Inner Sanctuary, but I personally don't use that. That just puts you in like a rune of protection because it's static, it's on the ground, and it's only beneficial if you don't leave that area. But I tend to move a lot, so I prefer Epiphany with Desert Shroud over that. For passives, I'm using the Guardian's Pass. So while we're dual wielding, we get 35% increased chance to dodge, and that is good for survivability. I'm running a double life here, so near death experience. When we receive failed damage, we are healed back to 35%. I know there is the built-in second life for the follower, but I still like having that. 3 lives, why not? If you're comfortable with your ability to just survive off the one, and you're a little bit more tanky, I'm still in the not so tanky stages, you could swap this out, and you could also pick up, where is it? You could also pick up the Relentless Assault, where you deal 20% more damage to enemies that are blind, frozen, or stunned as well. That could work. Or you can switch it out to maybe a Sixth Sense for additional survivability as well. So you have a couple options there. We also like Seize the Initiative, so we deal more damage against enemies that are above 75%. And that is pretty useful when we have high burst damage, so we get that bonus damage. And then, of course, we want Beacon of Ytar for the cooldown reduction, so that our Mystic allies and all that stuff come up off cooldown much quicker. For our stats, for our helmet, we want Dex, Vitality, and Critical Hit Chance, 6%. For our shoulders, we would want Vitality, Dexterity, cooldown reduction, and you can actually get Mystic ally damage there as well. For our neck, we want Elemental damage. So depending on whether you're going with the Earth ally, you want physical. If you want water, I'm going to assume that's cold. Yes, I don't know why I even had to think about that. And then we want critical hit chance and critical hit damage. Chest piece, we want Dex, Vitality, and you can believe you get Mystic ally on that as well. Yep, there it is there. Just want to double check. As you get higher up and more survivable, you could swap out the Vitality for damage reduction from elites. On our bracers, we want elemental damage. Again, depends on if you're going for earth or water. And then you want the critical hit chance of 6% with the Dex and Vitality. Gloves, we would like to get the dream one would be Dex with cooldown, critical hit damage, and critical hit chance. So that is kind of what we want. I guess also you could, if you have a Paragon, swap out the Dex for attack speed as well, would be the I guess the quad. But I would prefer to try to get cooldown, critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and Dex. For our belt, we are going with Dex, Vitality, we want Resist All, and you can even get armor on that as well as it is survivability. If you don't get the armor, you could also go for plus life as well, just to make yourself tankier. For our rings, we want, ideally, you're going to try to get both crits, so critical hit chance and critical hit damage. Those are the main ones that we're after, so take what you can get. Additionally, if you can get a third one, you want cooldown. So that'll take care of both rings. For our pants survivability item, we want Dex, Vitality, Resist All. And for our boots, Dex, Vitality, Resist All, and Armor. And I believe, yeah, there's no, I didn't think, I thought maybe there was a Mystic Ally, but no, it's just on the two pieces for the chest and shoulders. And then for our gloves, we're going to want high base damage, dexterity, plus damage, and cooldown if you can get it, is what we're going to aim for on our gloves. And yeah, and that is going to be all the stats that we're looking for. So I just want to do a quick little blurb about the rotation. So if those are unfamiliar with it from last season, we're always going to be doing our Way of the 100 Fists to build our spirit generators. And then if you're using the Convention of Elements, you want to be waiting for your elemental cycle to come up, and then you would cyclone them in, and then you would use your Earth ally. Kind of works the same. And if you're using the gloves, you want to make sure that you get the bonus. So you want to fill up on your spirit. And then once you get the bonus of it expending to get that 350% damage, then you would cyclone, blind them. If you're using COE, wait on your element, then you would pop your earth element or your mystic ally C. You would wait for your Shenlong spirit. If you're not using the Shenlongs yet, then you just want to kind of get up to your, and you're using the convention of elements, wait for your element, blind, pop your mystic ally. If you're using focus and restraint, you can kind of do it at will. Depending if you're using Shenlongs, get your Shenlongs, then pop it, blind them, and use mystic ally. If you're still using the in his reach weapon, so you don't have anything else, then just when it's off CD, blind, then use your mystic ally to get the maximum amount of damage. So this brings us to the end of the guide. If you have any questions or comments about the build, please let me know below and I'll do my best to answer those. As always, we appreciate any likes, shares, and subscribes, and we highly recommend you keep coming back. We're going to be doing more videos on a bunch of classes, so keep coming back. We'll have a bunch of build guides and tips and tricks and all that fun stuff. And as always, we hope you're enjoying Diablo 3 and Season 26.